Bruce and Michael. Michael, you've been in a bunch of Quentin Tarantino movies.
Yes, sir.
Bruce, you just had a small role in Django. What was it like jumping into this whole world with these actors that have done this a lot?
He did plenty before this happened, but
Well, I
he was making movies when I was shitting in my pants.
I think the thing that I was most gratified about is that Quentin Tarantino asked me to lend a hand to making this movie. And it all works on paper, and I thought, geez, he's asking me. And he wrote the stuff a lot for me, and he wrote a lot of Michael's stuff for Michael. But the point is that it's a collaborative meeting. You're only as good as the people who are with you, your teammates. And ultimately, I never did a team sport because I was a runner, so I'm doing an individual event unless it's a relay. But movies can be what this turned out to be, which is a collective movie led by a guy who writes it all down and who can play any part in the thing. And when you're a little weak one day, he will play it for you in front of 90 people to let you know that that came from me. Now, you're here because I want to see what you can do with what I wrote.
Michael, all the characters in the movie, and yours especially, lots of secrets, some lies here and there. We don't know who's telling the truth. What talk about just playing that in your role?
Well, I mean, I think everybody kind of does that to a certain extent in reality. It's hard to get the truth out of a waitress nowadays. It's because she doesn't give a damn what you want to eat, but it's her job to be nice about it and ask you what you want. I mean, I read an interview with Marlon Brando where he said, a waiter or a waitress, they're the two greatest actors in the world. And there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, I think, Joe Gage is trying to get something accomplished, and things get very confusing very fast. And it becomes bigger than Joe Gage. But the theme of what we're after, I have partners. I'm surrounded by friends who have the same idea in mind that I do. So I feel pretty comfortable in, sticking to my game to see what happens. And then, professional-wise, just like work-wise, seeing Bruce Dern sitting there in a chair across the room, that doesn't hurt. That kind of brings a reality to the whole thing where you go, oh man, I get to work with this guy. And so I end up not having a lot of anxiety. And I think that the movie's about people who don't tell the truth. The movie's about emotional manipulation. And it was an interesting journey. I never went home one day without feeling satisfied.
Bruce, you've done a lot of Westerns in your career. How did working on this one compare to others that you've done?
Well, this is at a higher level. The Cowboys was at a pretty high level because we had the highest level as a star of the movie and John Wayne. But, and that had 10 little boys who were kind of a collaborative group of kids, kind of like this, but they weren't liars or anything. But I think because of Quentin's attention to detail, which is the greatest I've ever seen, you get things that happen just before you're in a take and sometimes while the take is going, where he will take his finger and take a piece of lint off something that the camera might see. Anything like that. And it's always productive. I think in the however many days I was on a set, say, 90 days or whatever it was, I never saw him make a mistake because he's a professor and he writes it. So he's several things. He is a walking college of film. And you're so honored to be there with him. And the fact he asked you to collaborate with him means that he's got an arm around you from day one. And that's what you look for all the time. The only, I've had it a lot of times, but most recently, how lucky am I to go from Alexander Payne to Quentin Tarantino? Pretty good.
Well, congratulations. Great movie.
Thank you, buddy.